I think I've witnessed the biggest crybaby meltdown from the right wing in years. Zack Polanski really has upset the right, the corporate media, and the fascists this time. Now, what did he do? I spent 3 days in Calais, and it's horrendous. People living in disgusting conditions. Our government is spending £476 million on the militarisation of the border. We must divert that money to a humanitarian response that treats people with basic dignity. Now, whilst he was there, Zack refilled water tanks, which are given to people who come across, because refugees are also human and need water, apparently. He was picking up litter and refilling water tanks while condemning the brutality of families living in tents in freezing temperatures and with a perilous journey in front of them. Far from stopping the influx, Polanski's solution to the small boats crisis is simple: allow them to come to Britain legally. At the moment, 5% of Britain is built on, he said. We know that Germany is taking double the amount of people seeking asylum than we are, and France is taking more than we are too. So I think the first thing is to say it's about taking a fair amount of people in proportion to other people. We need to make racism unacceptable again, he said. We've seen situations where people from Ukraine have rightfully been welcomed into the country with open arms, and so they should be. They're facing an illegal invasion. But where is the same hospitality to the Sudanese people, Eritrean people, and people from Yemen? I don't think that British people are inherently racist at all, but it's the scarcity mindset that is true, because we have a government committing austerity and underfunding of communities matched with the racist rhetoric of the far right, from Nigel Farage to Tommy Robinson. That's what is fueling all of this. This evil bastard, he sees everyone as equal. Now, this has upset the right wing in a big way. Zia Yusuf hilariously tweeted this: Treason Act 1351. To be adherent to the king's enemies in his realm, giving to them aid and comfort in the realm or elsewhere. Is this guy high? Treason Act of 1351. Why is this dweeb bringing up centuries-old acts? I hate to break it to Zia, it's not 1351. Plus, the Treason Act talks about the king's enemies. Refugees are not the king's enemies. I'd assume the act would refer to countries we were at war at, or I suppose back in those days, parts of the country. I don't know how it was back then. But Yusuf didn't get the memo. Yes, we still have a monarchy, but we are a liberal democracy with a parliament. The king doesn't have enemies, nor does he have the power to decide. I mean, this guy is head of policy for reform and doesn't understand that we live in a party democracy. He should also know there are many laws that are in place today but are not enforced because they're so archaic. Examples of unenforced UK laws: Parliament and royalty, wearing armour in Parliament. It's illegal and has been since the 14th century to prevent intimidation. Dying in Parliament is illegal. Technically, it's illegal because it's a royal palace, potentially entitling one to a state funeral. Upside down stamp, that's considered an act of treason related to the Queen's image, public order and annoyance. Drunk in a pub, illegal under the Licensing Act of 1872, but mainly used for dangerous intoxication. So going to a pub in which, for most people, the point of going to the pub is to get drunk, and that's illegal, technically. Now, of course, no one enforces that. But I guess if we were to bring up the Treason Act of 1351 to attack Zack Polanski, then maybe we should enforce all these other laws, right? It's technically law. Yusuf is just a fucking moron. Now, Zack came back with a very simple response. Nathan Gill. He also massively ratioed him once again, but for Zia Yusuf to imply that Zack Polanski is a traitor for seeing refugees as human, whilst the former Welsh leader of the same party that Yusuf is part of, Reform obviously, is quite literally a traitor who took bribes from Russia and has been sentenced to jail. It's fucking wild. Yet people have gone even further. Treason. Zack Polanski is aiding the rapists that are attacking and even killing our women and children. Yes, Zack is aiding rapists. I mean, these lunatics, they think that every single refugee is a rapist or murderer. But don't worry, it gets even worse. This is from the vile and disgusting Rupert Lowe, who quite literally has called for the imprisonment of Zack Polanski. If you've gone to Calais and assisted third world criminals to break into our country, you should go to prison. You are a traitor to this country. So Zack, who wants to improve the material conditions of people in this country, whilst also not throwing migrants under the bus, understands that most refugees are good, is a traitor. Coming from Rupert Lowe, who supports the billionaires, who supports massive corporations, and supports Israel. At the end of the day, this is Twitter. You say anything that isn't dehumanizing about desperate people, you're going to get ratioed and called out because it's a fascist hellhole. Look, you've got Labour, the Tories, and Reform. They're talking about lowering immigration. They're talking about making life tougher for refugees, and Zack is standing up for them. So why are the right wing crying over this? I mean, they literally have 3 political parties that agree with them. In a democratic society, people are allowed to offer a different view, by the way, but this is how low we've become. These people aren't just saying the old line, which is, well, he's got his priorities wrong. You know, he should care about people who are here. Of course, that line is a load of rubbish because it's not one or the other. And often those who say that don't actually give a toss about British people. But now, let's be honest, we are living in fascistic times where people are calling you a traitor and to be imprisoned. We really have become a sick country.